All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Friday, December 17th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and for our final time of the week. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Patrick. We got Lewis. We got Marush. Great to see you all. Great to see Dickens, Deborah, Ari, Grant, Norman, and all of us otherwise. Great to see you all live in the cyber group room. And again, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So let's talk about this SPRB trade to begin, up just about 50% or close to. I guess it was up 50%, but pulling back down now off its HOD at 387. You know what? Hey, left a tiny bit of amount of profit on the table there. I can care less. I can care less about that. That's fine. I mean, we had a pretty good entry on this trade, right, folks? And I'll tell you what, I ended up missing a small part of this entry at first, too. It took long enough to get the gears going on this trade, right? So it's not like you're going to watch this stock the whole time. It's like watching the grass grow. So throughout the remainder of the morning after it made its initial run up, it popped from 280 up to 310. Made lower highs and pulled back. At that point, you're moving on to other trades. You're not necessarily expecting this type of run up. You hope for it. You don't expect it. So, hey, we ended up seeing this begin to show signs of life again going into 12 p.m. Eastern. Ended up beginning to break over 3, made a really nice pop. And at the time, and I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little behind the curtains a bit. I was in a coaching session with one of our students, and it's not to say that, hey, this worked out like every other call out I make. No, not every call out I make works out. Sometimes we're wrong, folks. But I told my student this, because once it broke over 3 here, there really wasn't a lot of buying that came in over the 3 level right here at the time. I was really expecting a false breakout. So with that, of course, it ran up pretty nicely. Well, otherwise, after a stock just breaks resistance and runs off it, at a minimum, I'm expecting that level to now turn initially into support. So right over here, initially here, it broke under and over from 3. That's the first time in which it pulled back to support. From there ran, right? So that was a hell of a trade. Now, at that point, though, I also had a line on my chart, my main trading platform here on my other screen at 309, and I wrote that in the trading room. That was the level that I was more intent on trying to get it from. From there, I ended up missing it, and then from there, it took off. I jumped in right off 325 as my entry, 325, and then I added more right a penny up at 326. So I ended up turning it into a full-size position, ended up taking half out right around 350, and then the rest at 375 or 372. I think my exit was there. It pushed up a little bit more, but at this point right now, if the stock had begin to pull back further, make a higher low, and then begin to really make its rally heading into like 315, 330 Eastern time, then that would be a hit. That's exactly what we would like to have here at this time of the day. So for right now, I'll definitely put this on our main watch list to begin. And shoot, back-to-back days here, I think, or maybe 2 out of the last 3 days. I have my pen in front of me. I'm going to get my pen, my notepad ready out here. All right, so SPRB, I'm writing this down now. Perfect. All right, so what we'll do is go from top to bottom. Otherwise, this NK or NTKI stock, we're not going to look at. It's just untradeable. I'll save you the look. But for right now, we'll keep it going. Otherwise, with number 2, the GNFT trade, GNFT SA. So this stock ended up kind of just popping up pretty early on, right? And, shortly after the market opened up, ended up breaking out from like 430 up towards a high of 5. Now, at that point, volume dies off. This stock begins to pull back and die off as well. Well, it ended up making a nice slingshot, a few slingshots throughout the course of the day, and it was like really just wacky up and down. Even here after 12:30 Eastern time, ended up popping pretty suddenly from 460-ish, took off all the way up towards just about 550. It looked almost for certain as if it was going to get halted. Didn't get halted, but ended up just beginning to chop around again. It made a very underwhelming move. It broke higher, but then snapped right back down and made this, crazy false breakout. So this thing's volatile, not necessarily in the good way. Sometimes I'll say a stock's volatile in a good way. This stock's not, it's volatile in the sense that it can move, but it's not really showing much direction in either way, up or down. So I'll add it to our list given the overall volatility, but I like the SPRB more, and we'll see if there's anything else that, looks a lot better than this. All right, keep it going here. BLPH trying to show signs of life. Big volume spike came in shortly after 2 p.m. Eastern here, broke over 305, 306. For right now, recovering as well here. Just made a nasty shake, but popped right back up. This thing's been a giant tease today, right? So I'm still pretty reluctant with putting this on our main watch list so far for the afternoon. But in terms of the liquidity on the order book, I like this a lot more in terms of the volume, the liquidity out there on level 3 compared to the GNFT. So I'll put this near the bottom of our list here as we continue to build it. This and the GNFT will be near the bottom. The SPRB for right now will be at the top. Of course, AMC, right? I mean, AMC at this point will add to our list as well. This stock took me by storm today. It took all of us by storm today. I mean, it's the second time this week actually where it was down and it was on the losers list this morning, and we were expecting at least for it to move with the market as it did yesterday and the day before. But man, this thing ended up just popping as soon as the market opened up, or rather, maybe shortly after the open, it coiled up, then broke out. But, whereas the markets continued to stumble off going into the mid-morning here before the pop, AMC was already lifting off. So the Wall Street bets people, man, they ended up getting the job done today, didn't they? Ended up pushing this up from 24 up to 30 plus, near 31. Right now it's trying to build back up again, make a, higher low perhaps, if not exact double bottom. A little break under that 29.50 actually and push right back above it. But yeah, for right now, this is on the way back up to 30 and above. So yeah, AMC will add to our list. Udaya says it's because you didn't short it today. Well, no, I wrote to you earlier, Udaya. I said you're the one that got them on me. I shorted them the other day, and you said that you're going to get the Wall Street bets people on me, and you sure did. I'll tell you that much. All right, I'm gonna keep it going. AUID, little spotty chart, blank order book. Actually, we'll pass it on it. This one, a little more interesting. ROIV. Never really traded the stock before. Order book is pretty thin, but it's showing a little bit more signs of life compared to that AUID. Where I talk about a spotty chart, you could see spots, points of inactivity, or a very thin volume traded altogether. ROIV still has a thin order book, but showing signs of life on this move up here. Looks like, I don't know if it's a new IPO or if it was OTC then listed on the NASDAQ recently. I'm not really going to care to check, but what I do care to say is that the stock is at all-time highs. Looking at the daily chart, stock's at all-time highs, no historical resistance to work with. So for the meantime, again, I'll add this to our list. This one looks all right. I would like to see tighter spreads on this ROIV, but for right now, pretty interesting. Let's just check level 3 here, the matrix. We'll just check to see if we're going to have like any sort of big order that got filled recently. Not really showing a bunch of volume traded off 11 or 1089. Likely the opening bell print, or if anything from consolidation, 1050 is definitely a big level. Yeah, if it does pull back, I mean, I guess 11 would have to be the support, but there's not even a whole lot of volume traded there. You might get support at 1089, 1086 here if it does shake. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we keep it going, keep it pushing. OPK, familiar name, testing kit stock. We ended up trading them back in the beginning of the pandemic, back in March of 2020. So, ended up getting a nice push up today. I guess just with all the news and talk about Omicron and all that. It's nausea listening to it all, and up or down either way. I'm just saying that's not what we're here to talk about. Either way, this stock OPK is up just about 17+%. It's like really flat. That's the issue. It's like really slow, not really moving around a whole lot. It's at the highs. So if it does break higher, perhaps we can get a squeeze up to $5, but it doesn't really seem like it wants to do it just yet. DYAI, spotty, this could be. CLVS, Clovis Oncology. I was getting mixed up with Clover Health. Clovis Oncology, I don't know why they're up, but pretty flat as well, like the OPK trade at least. I don't know. It's near the highs. Looks like some selling came in here pretty recently prior to 230. Let's just see what else we got here. We'll kind of just skim around right now at this point. Look at so many familiar names. feel like you might have a bunch of these stocks that are like at or near the highs. I don't know if they're all within the same sector or same business, but if they're not really trading a lot of volume, then it's not going to really lead to a lot of volatility. And it's like watching the grass grow, really, right? So, BFRI, familiar name, ended up seeing the stock make a really nice run earlier this morning, heading into the afternoon. Broke over 7 pretty nicely, ran off 7. So you would like to think at least the first time it pulls back down to this level after it ran off it, that it could be support. Easy to say in hindsight, but same play as the other one. Once it broke under and over, ended up lifting off, and in this case ended up breaking higher, making a new run up. For right now, though, this stock isn't really looking too good on the way up. If you can't short it, then you may as well just move on. All right, so let's see what we got on the loser side here, folks. If there's anything looking just as good, if not better, market's pretty flat right now. So, I don't know, maybe we'll find one or two familiar names here. Let's see. A bunch of cheapies below $1 that are on the top of the losers list for right now. Familiar name KTTA. This stock was breaking all-time highs. Just, oh my God. I was going to say this stock was breaking all-time highs like 2 weeks ago. No? New IPO, and we were trading it off whatever news came out at that time. Jeez. Well, we obviously haven't traded the stock since. You take your eyes off the stock for a little while, and holy smokes. Oh my God. Hate to be in this trade right now, but yeah, for right now, this KTTA, I was like expecting at least some sort of opportunity up or down, maybe a dead cat bounce. This looks completely dead. All right, let's see what else is out there. ADGI, familiar name. Okay, ADGI. We ended up trading the stock at least earlier on today. Bottomed out pretty early on, so it took a while for us to find the true bottom. It ended up holding over 13 perfectly here, but it didn't break under and back over. So like I was really like chomping at the bit for that exact move. It held too perfectly. I didn't jump in here. And from this point, I ended up jumping in off of $11.77. I told you folks in the chat board, if you want to scroll up throughout the chat, from earlier in the late morning, you'll see that I was calling out 1177 as a halt print level from yesterday. It could have kept breaking, but I ended up jumping in. It was on a much smaller position size, a quarter position size. You don't want to catch the falling knife. So I wanted to add another, just moved up, moved up at first. So I took the quarter position up for a little bit. I ended up getting out right around 1220-ish. I left a lot of money on the table at the time, but entry's an entry. It's all about finding the big money. For right now, this trade's cooked, though. It's not going to do anything for us right now, or it doesn't seem like it's going to. So I'd rather not us, focus on it here too much. I think it's just going to probably break down lower, it seems, no? I'll tell you what, not to seem lazy. It might seem lazy for me to just say this, but like I don't really see any other familiar names here that we're like too fond of. Like Oracle's expensive. We're not going to trade that. Rivion's expensive. Not going to trade that. NU, familiar name, from like the last week or two also. New IPO. Not really doing a whole lot in terms of just, I guess you could say it's inching up. It's tradable, I guess, but don't really feel a need to put this on our list here for right now. Ari says the ROIV is already heading on up. So you know what? We may as well call it. Oh, wow. Nice move up. Nice move back on up here for this trade. Until it's been a long week for me. A lot of talking. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, we don't need to add any more to our watch list when we have this ROIV pushing up. SPRB, hopefully, still in good graces, pushing up pretty nicely. Who knows what's going to happen with AMC and the Reddit crew out there. They may look to add one more pump to, AMC. And we'll see what else is out there, folks, all right? Otherwise, I'll just show Bitcoin pretty briefly. Not a whole lot to write home about in either direction with Bitcoin. It did pull back with the market. That's just really it, and we know that's the case. So here's a 6-hour graph just showing what's happened over the last 48 hours or 24 hours since we last talked about it. Held the trend line pretty perfectly, so that's a talking point. I mean, there's a few of them, but it held it pretty nicely, a few of them, and then dropped back down. So I told you folks I'm looking to add right around 44.5. It came pretty close down there, I reckon, this morning, but I didn't pull the trigger. We'll see if it keeps dropping. Otherwise, if we happen to see more signs of life, then we'll figure it out from there. But I think for a little longer, we'll happen to see this follow the market, mainly on the way down. All right, folks. I think that's all you got for me here for the rest of the afternoon. Lewis says here the familiar ones already ran in WKHS, Clove, and BB. Oh, yeah, I forgot about those other ones, like the Reddit stocks. Oh yeah, look at Workhorse here having a decent day, up over 8+%, right? What's AMC up to? Is this about to break out? It's still kind of lingering around 30. Uh, that Workhorse trade, pretty interesting, Lewis. I mean, all of these are pretty heavily shorted, and I haven't checked the short interest list in the last like week or two, like truly. So I'm kind of going blind here. But my bet would be that Workhorse is still the most heavily shorted stock out there on the market. Workhorse, BT2, and on my big on that swing trade that I ended up unfortunately taking a loss on. I guess at the same time, you could say I'm thankful I got out just under 9 where I did. But I want to add more shares to this trade on the swing side too. Once we happen to see Bitcoin bounce, given the short interest on it, if rising tide lifts all boats, then I would anticipate this to pop. And if that's the case, then in terms of short interest, high short interest at least, with the way Workhorse is moving right now, heading into the afternoon, this looks incredible. I'm happy that you called this one out. Workhorse easily put on our watch list for right now. Got a bunch of call outs here in Cybergroup. Really quick, just let me scroll up on the chat. Give me a quick moment here, folks. Ari in and out for about 21 cents just now in the ROIV stock. Got in from 11.28 out at 11.49. Really nice exit, Ari. Perfect exit. All right, so back to Lewis, at least for the meantime. BB, he's also calling out, up over 5%, trying to make the push up. That seems a little interesting as well. Cloves at the high of the day. I think Workhorse is making a stronger push if we're comparing the two. All of them are tradable. I like Workhorse the most, though, so I'll put the Workhorse trade on our main list. PLTR testing the high of the day also, he says. Yeah, it is. So I would put PLTR kind of on the second tier there with Clove and BB, but that Workhorse, though, I like more as of now. Oh, yeah, scroll down here. That's right. All right, what else we got from Patrick? He says GRTX. Ooh, yeah, this one looks pretty good, too. About time this one starts going. Ended up teasing us, really, for the last like 3 days, like all week mainly. The stock's been kind of teasing us since the pre-market push early in the morning on Tuesday. And for right now, yeah, for where it stands here near at the highs, we'll add this too. John S says CODX the high of the day. This one's got a spotty chart. It's only trading 400,000 shares, so this is no-go. Car from Norm just popped, so probably get a lot more volume coming in on this trade soon. Want to see more out of it. We'll keep this on the sideline for right now, but I appreciate the call and such a pop on this trade. So, we'll likely come back to this trade at some point. BBBY pop during our meeting. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did just pop, and it's up over 5%. Bed Bath Beyond's a sharper moving trade too, so I would add this also to our list alongside that Workhorse. If we're looking at all of those Reddit trades, AMC obviously is already on here, but out of the Reddit trades, at least AMC, Workhorse, and Bed Bath Beyond. I like this one too. GOEV at the high of the day, says Brian. Yeah, it is. It is. There's a lot of stocks near the highs, folks. We can't add them all, so I'm being very selective when I'm talking. So right now, especially given the pullback here, a little selling coming in right around 910 and 907. I'm going to pass on this for the meantime, but not a bad call just at about a few minutes ago here. All right, so folks, I think that we're pretty much all good. Norm says here anyway, SPRB on the way up to 4, so we'll call it. In total, we got about 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I think 8 stocks in total to work with. Not a bad list. All right, so of course, there's plenty of others that are at or near the highs as we've seen so far. I would rather you folks start and stick with this list. If there's other stocks that you want to follow, keep that on the side. Keep that to yourself. Unless if there's something that does make a really big pop, like that Carve trade. If there is something that comes out and pops to the size of Carve, then I would say it's worthy being called out in the chat board. But I'd rather start and stick with this list here in the meantime, and then we'll go from there. All right. For all of us on Facebook and YouTube Live, just as always, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. I'll type my email address here in the chat board as always. If you have any other questions or feedback or comments or thoughts before you want to join us in our live trading room, just send over a quick email to josh@c2trading.com. If you wanted to make the plunge, join us live in our trading room. You could join us at any point throughout the week, Monday through Friday. All you got to do is go right down to the link on the banner below the stream there just to get yourself started. All right. I don't know why I didn't stutter there at the end while I was stuttering through the whole meeting. That was pretty odd. But nonetheless, folks, we'll call it. Enjoy the weekend for all of us on social media. For Brian, for Norm, for Grant, for John, and for Ari, for all of us. Otherwise, I'll be back on the mic later on today at 3:30. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.